Hello everyone, welcome back to the third video on this channel, and today we're going to be talking about our solar system, which everyone knows and loves very dearly, but a lot of people actually don't know that much about. Right, so first of all, uh, there are 8 planets in the solar system, which are obviously Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And just a fun way to remember all of those names is the acronym My Very Excellent Mother Just Sold Us Nuggets. If you take a look at the words, the first letter of every word matches up with the first letter of every planet in the solar system. So it's like Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, which I find pretty fun. Right, so we're going to start off by talking about galaxies. So galaxies, just like a brief overview, our sun is one of around 400 billion stars in our galaxy alone, and there are hundreds of billions of galaxies all throughout the universe. And stars are held together in groups by the force of gravity. And so a large group of stars is called a galaxy, and our entire universe is made up of, as I said, hundreds of thousands of galaxies. So the images below show you how small we are compared to the entire universe. So just think of that. We're like 7 billion people on one tiny Earth. Uh, that tiny Earth, 100 of those could fit into the sun. 400 billion suns uh, could fit into the Milky Way galaxy, and around 400 billion Milky Way galaxies can make up the entire universe. So if you want to do the math on that and just figure out how incredibly small we are compared to the entire universe, just be my guest. Right, so our solar system is part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is pretty much common knowledge. But what isn't common knowledge is that Earth is actually located in the Orion arm of the Milky Way galaxy. And so when you look up, that's actually the only arm of the Milky Way that you can see. You can see all the 5 others, except for the Orion arm. All right, so we're going to start off talking about the solar system with the inner planets, also known as terrestrial planets. They are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. All right, so planets spin, and there's some terminology that we can use to describe the spin and the rotation of these planets. So the period of rotation is the amount of time that an object takes to rotate once. That's basically that's a rotation. Period of revolution is the time it takes an object to revolve around the sun once, which is one revolution. And so for the Earth, for example, one rotation is equal to around 23 hours, 59 minutes, uh, 48 seconds, or something like that. And so that's one rotation for the Earth, and one revolution for the Earth is 365 days, 365.249 days. So, yeah. All right, first up, Mercury. On Mercury, you only weigh 38% of what you weigh on Earth. That's because Mercury is only 38% as massive as the Earth. And because it's the closest planet to the Sun, it's also the fastest orbiting planet. It has a revolution period of around 81 days. And one side of the planet, this is like a very interesting fact that I find pretty intriguing about the planet. One side of the planet can be 800 degrees Fahrenheit, when the other can be negative 280 degrees Fahrenheit at the same time. And so Mercury is the only terrestrial planet without an atmosphere. And that is because it is just so close to the sun. Like most of the radiation that comes off of the sun potentially blew away all of Mercury's atmosphere as it was forming. And so that's why Mercury is so beaten up. It's because it doesn't have an atmosphere. Right, next up, Venus, Earth's sister planet. On Venus, you only weigh 91% of what you weigh on Earth. It's the planet that is most similar to Earth in terms of size and mass. Venus, however, has roughly 90 times the atmospheric pressure of Earth because it has just a super, super dense atmosphere, and because of that, it's also the hottest planet in the solar system. But you might be thinking, oh, hey, since Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, wouldn't Mercury be the closest planet? Wouldn't Mercury be the hottest planet? The answer is no. That is because Venus has an incredibly thick atmosphere filled with gases like sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, water, and all of these gases they work to trap in the heat that the sun gives off, and generally just makes the planet a lot more hotter than it should be. And so because of this, Venus has a surface temperature of around like 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. It also has volcanoes like the Earth, which is just another way it's similar to the Earth, and another reason why it's called Earth's sister planet. And it also rotates in the opposite direction of the Earth. All right, Earth. Yeah, so as I was saying, 23 hours and 56 minutes equals around one Earth day, and 365 days equals one Earth year. Earth is warm enough to keep most of its water from freezing and cold enough to keep its water from boiling. The surface temperature is usually between 13 degrees Celsius and 37 degrees Celsius. Anyways, moving on to Mars, the red planet. The air pressure on Mars is the same as 30 kilometers above the Earth's surface, which is to say it's not that much. Because very similar to Mercury, actually, Mars does not have much of an atmosphere. And whatever atmosphere it had when it was still forming was blown away by the sun's radiation, similar to Mercury. And so water on Mars is in the form of ice, which is one of the big reasons why NASA and all these other space agencies want to observe Mars more, is because if they think that if there's solid ice on the planet of Mars, there could be liquid water, and if there could be liquid water, there could be life. And there is evidence that there was liquid water on Mars at one point in time. It also has the tallest mountain of the planets, which is called Olympus Mons. It's around 3 times the size of Mount Everest. All right, moving on to the cool planets, the outer planets. First up is Jupiter. It is, as you all know, the largest planet in the solar system. It's around 70 times greater volume than the Earth, and it has a great red spot, which is more than 400 years old. And so one Jupiter day lasts around 9 hours and 54 minutes, and so that basically means it's zipping around super fast, and that's one of the big proponents for why Jupiter has such massive storms, is because it's rotating super fast, and the gases they start churning and they start making storms just to compensate for that. And the pressure on Jupiter is so great it will crush a spaceship. And so that basically rules out any possibility of actually observing the surface of Jupiter. All right, Saturn is the second largest planet in the solar system. It is 95 times more massive than the Earth. It has the largest rings of any planet. The rings are made of icy particles, and it has the most moons of any planet. I personally like to call Saturn the Lord of the Rings, not only because I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, but also Saturn has the most beautiful rings in the solar system, as well as any other solar systems that we've observed. All right, planet number 7, Uranus. It was discovered in 1781, and it has a blue-greenish color, and it's actually rotated 90 degrees. So if most planets are usually spinning around like this, then Uranus is going to be spinning around up and down, which is kind of interesting, actually. And most of its moons are named after Shakespearean plays and formed from other broken moons, which basically just goes to say that Uranus has like a lot of asteroids for moons. All right, last planet, Neptune. It was discovered in 1846, and Neptune has visual belts of clouds, very similar to other planets like Saturn and Jupiter. And the interior releases thermal energy to its outer layers. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching this kind of short video today, but we'll have another video for you next week. Thanks.